What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm back with another deck profile. Now this is a more or less classic deck on the channel, one of the decks that I fell in love with when I first started playing the game, and that is Yosenju. Guys, Yosenju has been one of my favorite decks like for forever, to be completely honest with you. And I used to profile it a lot on the channel, but as I became like a better player, I guess, I don't know, I kind of forgot about Yosenju. But to be honest with you, man, I just put together a Yosenju profile that I believe could be one of the most competitive builds of Yosenju in today's metagame. Now the meta today really consists of like Zoo, Dragon Link, Virtual World, and this deck has a good matchup against everything. So I know guys, it's gonna sound weird, but I think this is the most competitive version of Yosenju there is. Now if you guys enjoy these videos and the deck profiles, make sure to like this video, as well as subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment section down below what changes you would make to the deck. Now this is what I believe to be the best version of the deck, the most competitive version of the deck. I've tested it out a few times, so I am very confident with this build, but if you guys would make changes, let me know in the comment section down below. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but make sure to hit that subscribe button, just because I know like 80-something% of you guys who are actually watching my videos are not subscribed. If you guys could do me a favor, and if you guys would like to join the community, the Spanko community, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And with that, let's get on to the video.
Okay, so getting into the build here, obviously you guys can see that Yosenju is more or less a standard core. I only like to play these Yosenjus because in my opinion, they are the best Yosenjus. A lot of the Yosenju support that we got recently, by recently I mean like I think it was Rira, so it was a while ago now, but the most recent Yosenju support, just in my opinion, didn't do anything to advance the deck. And obviously I think the original 3 commas, so Yosenju comma 1, Yosenju comma 2, and Yosenju comma 3 were just the best Yosenjus to ever be released, as well as double Sujik. Now Sujik acts like an honest, but it also helps you OTK, because even if it's on board, it still kind of has that honest effect. Pretty much on board you can target another Yosenju monster you control and it gains 1000 attack, so that's why I thought Sujik at 2 was just perfectly fine. Comma 2 can attack directly, but it does half the damage, so if your opponent has a monster, you can do 900. That doesn't come up too often. It being 1800 is actually very much like relevant, just because it's the biggest one out of the 3. And comma 3 is nice because if another Yosenju monster does damage, you can search a Yosenju monster from your deck to your hand. So comma 3 is nice because it's a +1 every single time you attack, pretty much, because this can attack your opponent directly. So even if you just have a comma 2 and a comma 3, you can attack directly with a comma 2 and then get a search with a comma 3. So that's why I really like these 3. They're the best 3 in my opinion. Comma 1 is really good for bouncing cards that helps you control the game state. So comma 1 is really important for the control aspect. Comma 2 is really good because it's the biggest one. Comma 3 is nice because it's a +1. And Sujik is just that extra damage that you might sometimes need. So that's it for the Yosenju like lineup. I think it's pretty standard. I don't think I would change this. I don't think I've ever changed this. I think it's just the best lineup. And then for the hand traps, we are playing double Ash and triple Nibiru. Yeah, you guys might be wondering, yo, why double Ash? Well, the thing is, to be completely honest with you, I didn't want to open multiples of this. It's so weird because recently I've been liking 2 Ash, even though it sounds really bad. But the more I play with only 2 Ash, the more I like it, because there are a lot of times where you open double Ash, especially in a deck like this where you really want to open multiple commas. Like even opening multiple 1s is not bad, because you can open like 1, 2, 1. And then this way, when you use their effect to normal summon, oh, which by the way, I should mention, all the Yosenju commas have the same effect, where if you normal summon them, you can immediately, after the effect resolves, normal summon another one other than itself. So if you open like double 1 and then like a 2, you can normal summon 1, activate its effect, normal summon the 2, activate the 2 effect to summon another 1. So that's why opening multiple of these is not bad, but you really don't want to open multiple of your hand traps, right? So that's why I really wanted to keep Ash at 2. Nibiru, I know, is at 3, but that's because with the format nowadays, you really need to be able to beat and break boards, right? That being said, because all your commas come back to your hand, because you do want to go first with this deck, right? You guys can see with all the traps, you really want to go first, but all the comma monsters come back to your hand at the end phase. And this is why I like playing Nibiru, because even going first, Nibiru is really good, because you can normal summon these. And then, I mean, most of the time going first, you won't really need to normal summon them. But if you have these on the board, they'll come off the board, right? So at any point in the game, if they come back to your hand and you have a Nibiru in hand, it means your field is always free and Nibiru is always going to be risk-free for you, right? So that's why I found Nibiru at 3 was really important, because even though I don't like opening multiple of these, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you need, especially with the format nowadays, and especially with the break my board decks nowadays, you really need to be able to pretty much out those boards and break those boards, or just stop them from happening completely, right? So that's why I did play the triple Nibiru. I thought this was really important. You really need to get to this card, right? If you open like a couple commas plus a Nibiru plus like maybe a trap, you're in a really good position. So that's why I did max out on this. Then we're playing triple extravagance as well as double pot of duality. Now you guys can see I'm not playing an extra deck here. You guys can literally, I should say that you guys can literally play anything in the extra deck that you want. Rank 4 monsters, link 2, link 3, link 4, literally whatever you want in the extra deck. So it's blank right now, but I'm telling you it can be literally anything because you don't really go into the extra deck. The reason for that is because you really don't want your Yosenju monsters going to the graveyard because you have no way of getting them back. You really want to be able to get these back to your hand, normal summon them, do some damage, bring it back to your hand, and then that's kind of the loop that you want to do. So that's why I'm not playing an extra deck, or I mean you have to be playing an extra deck for extravagance, but I'm not showing you guys an extra deck because it could literally be anything. Now I suggest maybe super poly targets and then maybe play super polymerization in the side deck. Another option are just like rank 4 monsters, you know, rank 4 toolbox. It could literally be anything, but obviously that's why I'm not showing you guys an extra deck here, because literally whatever you guys want to play is up to you. So if you guys even wanted to play like Gamma instead of Ash, because I've seen some builds for Yosenju that want to play Gamma only because all the commons come back to your hand. You guys could do that. They synergize pretty well. I didn't like it because a lot of the time I noticed that the only time I'm getting hand trapped is like when I normal summon a comma 1 and then activate its effect and normal summon again and then it gets impermed, right? So Gamma is not good in that sense. So that's the only reason why I didn't play the Gamma. But yeah, again, if you guys wanted to play the Gamma in this, because technically it does make sense, all of these monsters will come back to your hand at the end phase, then yeah, play an Omega, play some level 8 synchros, whatever you guys want to play, right? So extravagance is really good because you don't need your extra deck whatsoever in this deck, and so extravagance is just a free +1. It's a draw 2. It's really good for you. Duality is really good because you don't draw outside of the extravagance and you don't special summon in this deck outside of the Nibiru. Like Nibiru is the only time you special summon, but you're also not going to be Nibiruing on your turn, right? So that's why duality is really good. These are all normal summons, so when comma 1 activates effect, it's a normal summon, not a special summon, so that's why duality works really well. I didn't want to max out on duality just because I don't want to, again, open double duality. It is a once per turn. Extravagance I know is a once per turn, but getting the +1 is a lot more important than duality. Duality is a 1-for-1, except it searches what you want, right? Not searches per se, but you get to pick out of the 3 cards that you excavate, you get to pick the one that comes to your hand, right? So that's why duality is really good, but extravagance is obviously a draw 2, which is just insane, right? So that's why you are playing triple extravagance and double duality, as well as triple tanky. Now tanky is really good because all the commas are beast warriors. So if you open a tanky, it's just any comma that you need. So let's say you open like a 1 and a 2, you can tanky for a 3, right? If you open like a 2 and a 3, you can tanky for a 1. It's whatever you need. If you open 4 Yosenjus in your hand and a tanky, you can technically summon a 5th Yosenju or search a 5th Yosenju, and then that can help you like OTK, right? So that's why tanky is just really good. Searches all your Yosenjus, even the Sujik as well, not just the commas, but the Sujik as well, right? So tanky is a free search. Why not play it at 3? And then I'm playing a ton of traps, and this is because we are going first, and I'm just playing the best traps in my opinion of the format, and that's imperm. Imperm going first or going second is insanely good. Obviously double warning point, I thought warning point was really good because so when a monster is summoned this turn, that face up monster cannot attack, its effects are negated. Also it can't be used as a fusion, synchro, Ixies, or link summon. So the reason this is really good is because I think it hits every deck in the format. And when we're talking meta decks, we're talking Zoo, we're talking Virtual World, we're talking Dragon Link, there's so many decks right now, right? Even if you want to talk about decks like Alistar, the Invoke decks, if you guys want to talk about Dino, stuff like that, warning point is so good because against Zoo, let's say, they normal summon a Zoo monster and you warning point that monster, they can't go into the Ixies plays. Against Virtual World, they can't do all the synchro shenanigans, right? So that's why I thought warning point was really good. Triple Ice Dragon's Prison. Ice Dragon's Prison is one of the best trap cards in the game right now. I would say it's one of the most impactful trap cards in the game, so that's why you're playing triple. Obviously, we are playing triple trap trick to search any one of the traps that we need, except for goals and match, but it searches pretty much your compulse, your warning point, or your Ice Dragon's Prison. The reason I only decided to play 2 warning point, and I guess I should say I'm also playing 2 compulse, is because 1, it's searchable off trap trick, but also I didn't want to max out on this because I just think Imperm obviously is really good, and then I think Ice Dragon's Prison can just be a lot more impactful. However, if you guys want to play 2 Ice Dragon's Prison and 3 warning point, you could do that as well. The only difference is I think that Ice Dragon's Prison, or I personally feel that Ice Dragon's Prison is a lot more viable at different stages of the game. Warning point is really good turns 1, turn 2, but after a while, like warning point is not as great as like, once your opponent makes their combo, it's not that great, right? Whereas with Ice Dragon's Prison, at like any point in the game, this card could be insanely good, right? So that's why I wanted to max out on this. Compulse is really good because if you guys didn't know, also you guys can compulse Nibiru token. You guys can also comma 1 to bounce a Nibiru token, right? It just leaves the field, so that's just a ruling that you guys might not know. But if you have a token, you can still technically quote unquote bounce it, but it won't go to your hand, obviously, it'll just leave the field. And sometimes if you give your opponent a big enough Nibiru token, it'll be hard for you to out sometimes. So that's why the Compulse as well as the Comma 1 is pretty much how you out your own Nibiru token. Also, another cool thing is that when you do Nibiru, keep in mind this gives you an extra body on the board. Like, that's pretty good, right? So that's why I just thought, I mean, Nibiru obviously is really good in this deck. With Compulse and with Comma 1, the token is never really going to be an issue. And then lastly, I'm playing triple Gozen match. Now, this one's weird, right? So I really wanted to play a Floodgate in this deck other than just a regular trap. And the reason for that is because I just thought once you get into the grindy game, you know, once these cards all get to the graveyard, there's no way of recurring them, obviously. Whereas sometimes Gozen match can sit on the field. And I was thinking about it, I was like, man, most decks in the meta right now, so we're talking Dragon Link, we're talking Virtual World, like a lot of decks can actually not play around Gozen. Now, don't get me wrong, like some decks can, like Zoo, I guess to a certain extent can, but for the most part, a lot of the meta decks can't really play around Gozen because you can only control one attribute of monster. And if you guys can see, like all the Commas and all the Yosenjus are wind. Now, of course, it kind of conflicts with the Nibiru. However, for the most part, like these are all going to be coming back to your hand at the end phase. So if you Nibiru your opponent, then you're pretty much in a really good position because these are all going to be in your hand. So Nibiru is always going to be live. However, if you have a Nibiru on the field, obviously you can't summon your Commas. But the thing is, if you have a Nibiru on your side of the field and they can't really summon, you can just beat them down with Nibiru until you win the game. Or if they out your Nibiru, then all your Commas are summonable at that point, right? So Gozen match is really good because it hurts your opponent a lot more than it hurts you. So that's pretty much it for the deck profile. Like, it's a 40 card main deck right over here. I think this is actually a really consistent deck. I've been doing a lot of tests with this. Yosenju is one of my all-time favorite decks. I know I haven't uploaded it and profiled it in a while, but I was just thinking, man, with this format now, like there's just have to be different ways to play it. And Nibiru plus the Gozen match plus the Imperm, like you just play pretty much some of the best cards against the meta and the deck can still function because the core of the deck is so small that you literally just tailor the needs of the deck to whatever the meta is. So that's why I really enjoy this deck. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be like a top tier competitive meta deck that you can go to in like an LCS and top with. I mean, well, yo, by all means, actually, if you do it, you guys are sick. But the thing is, like, I'm just showing you guys that this is the most competitive way to play Yosenju in my opinion right now. I think it's really good.
So that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the deck. If you guys would make any changes to the deck. I think the deck is very competitive where it is. There's a lot of synergy with a lot of the cards, and I think low key this could be one of those decks that if you take to an event like maybe a locals or something, your opponent's gonna be like, what the heck am I going up against? So it's very easy to do well with this deck. It's very surprising, and obviously the deck counters the meta game, so you would say it is an anti-meta deck. And yeah, that's really what it is, to be honest with you. I want to say it's a rogue deck, but it is really an anti-meta deck. So I think you guys could put them as the same thing, whatever you guys want to do. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you guys want to check out any of my social media, everything will be linked in the description below. Twitter is probably like where I'm most active, to be completely honest with you, but Twitter, Instagram, everything is going to be linked in the description below. And make sure to join the community. The Discord as well is going to be linked. And with that, guys, I had nothing less to say, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And with that, Spanko signing out. Peace.
My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit.